Matthew 19. Now when Jesus had finished these sayings, he went away from Galilee and entered the region of Judea beyond the Jordan. Now what sayings is he talking about? He's talking about everything in Matthew 18. He's talking about brothers sinning against you, temptations to sin. He's talking about the lost sheep. He's talking about unforgiveness. And large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. And note it says he healed them there. It doesn't necessarily say he healed all of them.
There are times in scriptures when it says he healed all, though.
Correct.
So that's probably what the people who are reading it jump to, because a lot of times in scripture it says all of them.
Yeah, and it's okay that he healed them, and it doesn't specify whether or not he healed all of them. It just says he healed them. It could have been all. It could have not been all. We are not required to limit the Son of God to what he does and how he does it. There may have been an issue that they need to deal with more deeply than the physical. And the Pharisees came up to him and tested him by asking him,
21.
"Is it lawful to divorce one's wife for any cause?" He answered, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate." They said to him, "Why then did Moses command one to give a certificate of divorce and send her away?" He said to them, "Because of your hardness of heart, Moses allowed you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you," here's the catchphrase and the punchline, "whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality, fornication, violation of the marriage covenant, unfaithfulness, and marries another commits adultery." And some manuscripts add, "and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery." The disciples said to him, "If this is such as the case with a man with his wife, it's better not to marry." But he said to them, "Not everyone can receive this saying, and nor should they be forced to receive this saying. But only those to whom it is given. It's a specific dispensation for certain, not to marry. And they are no less legit for pastoral ministry or any other ministry if they don't marry than if they do." And people who say either you're forbidden to marry in order to be in the ministry or you have to marry to be in the ministry are setting up a fence law. And they're setting up a fence law because they think it's safer. We have a lot of issues with people setting up fence laws because they think it's safer. We're going to protect the pastor by making him marry so he doesn't commit adultery. I'm sorry, but who are you to set up barriers to ministry?
Right.
I have friends who are, and I'm going to say it, and some of my audience is going to ruffle at this, some friends who are Catholic priests, and they are not married, and they're perfectly fine, and they walk in the Spirit of God, and it messes with your theology. And they're single. And some of these Protestants that are not designed to marry, and they're forced to marry in order to take on a pastorate, because they're afraid, oh, if the pastor is single, he's going to fornicate. If he has a cadre of men around him who are helping him and speaking into his life that are friends that he can trust, he's not going to have that issue. It's going to be less of a problem.
Right. Plus, God gives some the gift of singleness. You know, there's a gift involved in being single.
Yes.
And God will do that. And if that's what somebody's heart is, let him do it. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with being married and having a family and having a wife. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because
Yes.
he did design us. You know, it is not good that man is alone. But that doesn't mean there aren't people with a gift of, hey, my single focus is going to be on the Lord.
Paul, said, some people it's better to be as I am. So I can, devote myself to the singleness of whatever the case. Arguments as to whether or not Paul was married. And, the arguments for and against have a whole lot of weight behind them. A whole lot of scholars on both sides of the fence. It doesn't matter what the truth of the matter was. The question is, we take the principle and we apply it. We say, okay, Lord, I'm not going to do a sausage factory approach to ministry. What is your purpose for me? Right now, you are currently single. And if you are not single right now, and I don't know about it, you're walking in sin. If you have plotted with somebody of the opposite sex to be in a relationship, and I do not know about it, you are walking in sin and in defiance. Period. So, the first person that needs to know about a relationship must be me. I am responsible for the three of you before the king. I will give an account for how I have raised you, fathered you, mothered you. So, that soapbox out of the way. Sometimes we are designed to have a season of singleness, and if we waste that season, we'll waste the gift that is available to us and treasures to be unpacked, so we have authority to speak into the lives of other singles. What bird is that? That is not a house finch, is it?
No, that's a grosbeak of some sort.
On the top?
Yeah.
On the top left.
Yeah.
Sorry, gang.
It's much bigger than a finch.
We are amateur ornithologists, my wife and I, and so we see birds and we have to call birds, especially birds that we have never seen before.
No, it's a warbler. It's one of the warblers.
That's odd. It's got like a burgundy blush on its head.
Absolutely.
And brown and
Grab
red.
the book.
Anyway, I point all that out to say this. Do not waste the season you are in. If you're married, be married. Enjoy your marriage. Bless your spouse. Be in it wholeheartedly. If you are single, as my kids are, take advantage of the treasures that are there to unpack, because you will not get the season back. If you're longing for marriage, which is a good and right thing, it will come in its season and in its sequence. But right now, you have a purpose. You can accomplish a whole lot with your purpose, stepping into what you are made to do before you get married. So that when you meet the person that's the bee's knees, cat's meow, that hottie, or whatever the case, and they can ask you what you do, you can say, hey, this is what I do. Da-da-da-da-da. I pastor a church. Oh, cool. Then off you go. Or I'm a mechanic at a shop. I have my own shop, and I lead a bunch of mechanics and show them how to take apart an engine. This is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. Diesel engine, gas, hydrogen power. It doesn't matter, dude. Get into what you're made to do. Or I'm a writer, poet, artist, an engineer, an architect. This is what I do. I like to get out in the field. I don't just sit behind a desk all day. I like to get my hands dirty by actually doing the work of building my own building. I like to look at the materials and help my teams do what to do and not just sit behind a desk. I got somebody else who can sit behind the desk and I can go out and do. I've restructured my architecture firm. This is what it looks like. I've got a different way of doing it. I've got a different transmission because I'm designed differently. Isaac. I've laid out a whole idea here that's way different than most architecture firms are designed. So, all that said, your callings for singleness at this season are a blessing for you to figure out what you're made to do. Before Adam got wifed up, which is a phrase that our generation likes to use, before he got wifed up, the Lord gave him a job. He had work. He was employed, doing work for the king, tending a garden. Good call. It might be an immature bird.
Mom, on its tuft it had white around the red.
So, gang, Today, I want to leave you with the following blessing. I bless you to understand the simplicity of the teaching on divorce, the simplicity on divorce and remarriage is a biblical thing under certain parameters. I bless you to hear what the Lord is saying to you. I bless you to flow in that. I bless you to embrace, take hold of, and run with the season that you were made for in this season, to handle the now and to unpack what you were made to unpack now, so you don't show up to your marriage empty-handed. I bless you with the drive to be everything you were made to be and not to tone yourself down as you were made to be. I bless you with this love in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen.